Welcome back. We're here in Dallas at Poker House Live playing another 2-5 esteemed live stream.
One of us sun runs immediately and then potentially has the biggest winning session of their entire lives. Stay to the end to figure out who it is or what happens. If it's true, who knows?
Who knows?
Let's go.
We did not lie. This is the best start you could have to a session. This is literally where poker dreams are made. It's the second hand dealt and we get dealt a premium. Pocket 10s under the gun. I make it $25 to go. Let's get this game started. Jay calls in the small blind and Woodley, who's a very familiar foe on these live streams. Everyone knows him for being loose, for being aggressive, not being scared to put the money in. He 3-bets to $80. I interpret the sizing as weak, so do the commentators.
Does Frankie here decide to 4-bet and isolate Woodley in position, or is he going to take this three ways?
I 4-bet to 210. We're heading to a flop, which comes 9-5-7. We love to see this flop, and he only has about a pot size left bet. If he's got 9-8, he's got 5-6, 7-6. He's going to get it in here. I just jam it all in, pot size jam, and he doesn't snap fold, so he actually does think about looking me up, but no, he folds, and we take down the first hand. We look down at pocket 9s in the small blind. Jello raises under the gun 2 to $40. Button makes the call, and I'm in a spot between 3-betting and just calling here. Jello raised from earlier position. I am incentivized to raise because Woodley called in between, so his money's kind of dead, but with Woodley, his money's never dead. I just flat call the 40, and we're going to a flop, which comes 7-4-7, 2 diamonds. Flop that's going to get me in trouble. I check, Jello bets $50, Woodley makes the call, and at this point, I do think that Jello is going to be c-betting a lot of overcards like ace-queen, ace-jack, and just a lot of good hands that have 2 big cards, so I want to raise now for protection, although we're going to see we're going to be in trouble. I make it $150 to go, and Jello does make the call with his overpair. Woodley, with his gut shot straight draw, also calls the 150, so we're still 3 ways to a turn, which is the king of spades. There's 585 in the middle. Now that Jello has called my check raise, I think I would have got him to fold ace king. So I'm just gonna check now because I'm putting him on a hand like 10s through queens. And thankfully, it checks all the way through. And we're going to a river card, which is the 9 of clubs. We get there in a huge way. We bink. And like I said, I put Jello on a hand just like 10s through queens. And against that hand, they're not gonna be able to call up a big bet. I think that a perfect size here to be about half pot, but I go a little bit smaller. I go $150. Jello quickly makes the call. Woodley folds, and we give him a little slow roll. Yes, Jello, we got 2 9s. We sucked out, and we win the second hand.
Screw you, Frankie, you freaking luck box. This hand we're playing 2-5-10, and there's 2 limps, and we look down at the glorious 7-deuce offsuit in the cutoff. Again, we're playing that 7-deuce offsuit bounty, which means there's $200 of invisible money out there that only I can see, and only I can win. I make it $80 here, hoping just to take this one down pre-flop, but we're immediately proven wrong when the button calls, the straddler calls, and one of the limpers calls. 4 ways to a board of queen, queen, 10 rainbow, and it checks over to me. I think a small bet here is going to be pretty profitable considering the fact that most players are just going to fold any hands that completely bricked here, and we might be able to barrel on this turn and get a lot of hands to fold like weaker pairs and maybe a 10 that would call the flop. I bet $75 with plans to continue betting on some good turn cards, and only the button makes the call. Turn is the 6 of spades, and now it's decision time. I think a reasonably sized bet here is going to get most hands to fold here that don't contain a queen, so I bet $240, really targeting just low pairs and a 10. Unfortunately though, he makes a call, and the river is an offsuit jack. We're sitting here with 7 high and a $1,000 pot with $400 left in our stack. I didn't really plan it well to save enough to jam rivers, but I really didn't want to triple barrel this. It was more like taking 2 stabs and see if we can steal it with a big turn bet, with plans to shut down on most river cards. I check and he checks it back, and sadly we lose to 10-6 of clubs.
Ouchie, Jello, 7-deuce is a tough hand to play. I look down at ace-8 suited in the cutoff. Woodley raises to $35. We got an easy call here. Hayden makes the call on the button. Nick makes the call on the small blind, as does Aaron. We're going a lot of ways to a flop, which comes ace-king-5, 2 clubs. How about that for a flop? And how are we going to navigate this when Woodley jams all in for $280? Woodley doesn't have that many sizes. He just goes all in or checks here, and I love it. So when it's on me, I'm happy to just call here, try to keep worse flush draws in. it. I don't want to raise and scare those out. But no one has anything behind me. The rest fold, and watch Nick fold pocket fours. As the turn comes the 4 of diamonds, and the river comes the 4 of clubs. We get there in a big way. Nick 6 would have had quads, but more importantly, we hit that flush, and on hand number 6, if you're keeping track on the bottom right, hand number 6, we scoop in another massive pot. What a start to this session.
Attaboy, Frankie, way to inflict that max pain on our arch nemesis Woodley. This hand we see Nick 6 limp, Aaron makes it 20, and we wake up with pocket aces on the button. What a fantastic spot. I make it $60. Nick makes a call after limping, and Aaron makes a call as well, so we're 3 ways to a board of 854 rainbow. Checks to me, I bet $75, and only Aaron makes a call. Turn is a 10 of hearts. It brings in a backdoor flush draw. Aaron checks, and I've got $280 behind. I started this hand relatively short stacked and didn't have time to add on. Aaron checks, and I've got $280 left in my stack. I rip it all in. We see we put Aaron in a brutal spot here. After thinking it over though, he makes the call, and we're off to a river card with $900 in the middle. And that river card is the 4 of clubs. We scoop this pot in. Let's go.
Nice double up Jello. I put on a double straddle for $20 because, hey, we're up $1,100 in the first rotation, so why not? Nick 6 calls 20, Button Miles calls 20, Big Blind calls 20, Woodley calls 20. I check my option with King 5 suited. Flop comes Queen Jack 5. We flop bottom pair, so not much. Checks to Nick, who bets $70, folds back to me. I like having a king because if we do hit the king, we beat his queen jack, we beat his queen 5, so I'm happy to make the call here, try to hit that card. The turn is good, it's the 3 of spades, not quite what we need. I check, and Nick quickly checks it back. We arrive to a river, which comes the king of clubs.
And Frankie makes the best hand.
Again.
Oh my gosh, Frankie off to a fire start.
I lead for $200, we love it, and Nick, he calls. Can't blame him, we win another huge pot.
Nice pot, Frankie. Way to take this one down. Alright, this hand we're playing 2-5-10, and we see a limp from Aaron. We wake up with 7-deuce offsuit again in early position, ready for revenge this time. I decide to limp as well for $10 in early position, see what everyone else wants to do, and also see if a good squeeze spot arises. Woodley limps as well, and now Hayden in the big blind makes it $75. Nick in the straddle calls, Aaron after limping makes a fold, and we have $750 in our stack, and a pot of $182 plus the invisible $200 bounty money. I start thinking about the sizing I would go to with a lot of my strong hands after I limp in early position, and with this stack size, I'm not sure many sizes make sense besides an all-in. It's only for about 75 big blinds essentially, but we should have a lot of fold equity. I remember a quote from a friend of mine, "It's better to have balls than to have the nuts." I've got one of those too. I ship it all in for $750. I've got my fingers crossed under the table hoping for some folds, but Hayden instantly tells the dealer he's all in as well. Well, shit. Nick folds and I'm in pain, off to one run out in a massive pot, and the flop is miraculous. 6-5-4 or 3 hearts. We have an open-ended straight flush draw.
Oh my god, dude. And this was a limp squeeze shove spot right here from Jello.
Not only do we catch the full double, we win an extra $200 and the ultimate fame and glory from winning that 7-deuce bounty. Let's go.
Don't forget, mark your calendars. This January 29th, we're doing the first ever Next Gen Poker meetup game, but it's a tournament. It's going to be at Poker House Dallas. It's going to be about $100, $130 buy-in.
$130, super easy. See you guys there. We're excited.
Let's go.
Oh my god, Jello, I cannot believe you pulled that off. You are a legend. Alright, back to me. We are really sun running, so we're happy to see some more flops. And I look down at ace jack offsuit in the big blind. Nick calls 10, cut off the boy, raises to $35. Small blind calls 35, and when it's on me, I think it's a great candidate to squeeze because the boy's opening very wide, Willie's calling very wide. So I'm making $175 to go. The boy folds, which is good news, and then Woodley, who's out of position to us, makes the call. So we got the in-position player to fold and the out-of-position player to call. That's great news. And the flop comes ace 10-7, so we both flop top pair. On this dynamic of a board, I want to bet big. I think I could make it like 2/3 pot. I go about half half pot, make it $225 to go, and Willie makes the call. The turn is the 3 of hearts. It's one of those bad turn cards for us. When he checks to me, I'm happy to just check it back, try to get a little bit closer to showdown, and the river is the 4 of clubs. Willie leads out for 220. I really like that lead bet for him because I definitely want to bet more. I snap call, which is going to be another $700 of profit heading our way. And knock, show the winnings. How much we are up after 12 hands. We are up $2.2 thousand in 12 hands. The second rotation is not over. Let's keep going.
Frankie with the absolute sun run. Let's go, brother. Hopefully I can follow you up. This hand we're playing 2-5. And we open queen jack of diamonds to $40 over 2 limps. Jay in the big blind decides to raise us now to 160, and it folds to us. We're relatively deep in position against an aggressive 3-better. I decide to make the call, and we're heads up to a flop of ace 4-3 with 2 spades. We completely brick out. However, Jay decides to check it over to me. I don't really see any merit in turning my hand into a bluff here. I check this one back. In the turn, we pick up some equity. It's the queen of clubs. Jay now bets out for 125. He can be doing this with some bluffs like king jack, king 10, and also might bet some hands here that are weaker than ours as well. So I make the call for 125, getting a relatively good price, and the river's an offsuit 8. Jay decides to check it over to me. Again, I see no merit in turning a pair of queens into a bluff. I check this one back, and we lose to ace 7 of hearts.
We've been in a few pots before with this player, but I want to highlight someone who's really special to me. I'm on the gun 2, raise ace queen offsuit, raise to $60 because it's a double straddle in play. And this player I'm talking about is Nick 6 in the hijack. He makes the call, we're heads up, we're off to a flop, which comes queen 5-2, a great flop for us. But let me highlight Nick real quick. Nick is, a great player, a great friend of the community, a lover of poker, lover of the Cowboys, lover of his family, of his wife. And unfortunately, he passed away last week. It's been very tough on all of us, but, we have a video to edit, so had to push through that and kind of hone my, sadness towards the whole situation in for this video. So I just want to give a moment of silence for Nick 6. We bet $60 in the flop, and Nick 6 makes the call. Turn is the 4 of hearts, where we're loving life with top pair. It's a really good board for ace queen. We continue betting for $175, and Nick quickly makes the call. He's got a good hand. The river is a 2 of spades. We both pick up 2 pair, and this time Nick is actually counting out his chips before I've checked. It's a strategy he likes to do, and he told me he did that because he wanted you to check to him. He wanted to get that check, so it's actually a really good strategy if you want to get someone to check to you and then just check it back. But Nick puts out a bet of $300. He's value betting his pocket 8s here. I quickly make the call because I got a really strong hand myself, and we're scooping in another really big pot.
They call him Wells Fargo for a reason. Frank the Bank is absolutely killing it tonight. We're playing 2-5-10 this hand, and it limps to me in the small blind. We've got jack 10 offsuit. I decide to limp as well, get in the action, and it checks around, and we go 6 ways to a flop of jack 10-6 with 2 spades. I do think that the best play here, instead of instantly betting out, is to go for a check raise. There's a lots of draws that will want to bet this flop, and some weaker hands as well. Checks around to the boy, and he bets $35. Nick makes a call, and it's time to spring the trap. I check raise to 150. The boy makes a great fold with top pair, and now Nick, who currently has queen high and some backdoors, we're pretty deep, and he decides to make an interesting peel. Turn is the 9 of hearts, plenty of draws to continue charging. I size up to $300, and Nick pretty quickly makes a call. River is fantastic. It's the king of spades. Not only do some 2 pairs beat us like king jack or king 10, but most straight draws complete and the flush draw completes. I freaking hate this card, but one funny thing about the hand was Nick actually stacked his chips up and was holding them back, looking at me when the river hit, indicating he was going to shove all in the second I made a move. I check, and he does just that for about $650. The graphics were a bit off. Oh, what a horrible spot. I'm super frustrated, and this would normally be a snap fold versus most players, but against Nick, I actually have to think. He would be turning some really weird hands into bluffs here, like a 10 or a 6, or some missed low ends of the straight draw. If you've watched previous streams, you would know Nick loves to make crazy moves in these big pots. A lot of that is running through my mind when I stick in the call and am shown this straight. I'm really super disappointed in this hand, and definitely the hand of the night I wish I could take back. I let impatience, card deadness, and overthinking on player tendencies to make way too light of a call.
After that last hand, we were up over $3,000 in this session in a 2-5 game. That is pretty insane. And we look down at 7-deuce offsuit. We've seen some big hands so far from Jello. Big losses, big wins. Let's see how we're going to do. We make it $30 to go, and gosh, I hate playing this hand. Aaron makes the call, Big Blind Miles makes the call, and DuBois makes the call. So we're going 4 ways to a flop, which comes queen 6-6. Pretty dry board. We see bet range for $35. Small bet because we're multi-way. Miles is the only person who calls. Boy folds his pocket fours, so we're off to a turn card, which is a 6 of spades. But as you can see, it's not going to be easy to get him off a hand now. And I decided to just continue betting, try to get him off a hand like a smaller pocket pair. I know a queen is never folding, so we bet, and he makes the call. So I know he has a queen. The river, though, is the king of spades. He checks, and now things get interesting. I had complete full intention of checking back the river. I double barreled, he called, I was gonna give up. That's one of the problems with playing 7-deuce. You're never gonna get there because even a 7, I was drawing dead in the turn essentially. I was bluffing with no equity. That's the problem with this freaking hand. Now, a 2x pot bet, $1,000 against a player on his first ever live stream, Miles. He's a newer player as well. Dang, that would have worked. But I just didn't feel it. I wasn't ready to pull it. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger. What could have been a massive session. I could have maybe made 4K this session, maybe 5K this session if I pulled a bluff. But no, I check it back, and Miles takes his hand down.
I feel your pain, Frankie. It is so hard to win a 7-deuce bounty on such a crazy table. This hand we're playing 2, 5, 10, 20. We're in the first straddle for $10, and Regis opens it up to $100. Frankie immediately comes in for the 3-bet and the hijack at $275, and Nick 6 cold calls at $275. It's on to us with $1,200 in our stack, and I look down at pocket 10s. I know Regis is opening way too light, and I think Frankie knows that too, and maybe 3-betting lighter than usual. Nick calling really should be essentially dead money. He'll call with a bunch of garbage hands here, and when there's a likelihood we have the best hand, and also there's over 50% of our total stack in the pot already, I lean towards aggression. I take a deep breath and announce all in to the dealer. Let's just hope we can get this one through. Regis folds, and Frankie asks for a count, which kind of scared the crap out of me. He thinks about it for a super long time, making me sweat, but eventually makes a fold, and now Nick snap calls. Oh my gosh, what did we just run into? We decide on one run out for max pain. Here we go in almost a $3,000 pot. Flop comes king, king 6, and he immediately slams ace king on the table. I'm drawing dead to a 10. The turn is a 3. We are now left with 1 card to see, 2 outs, and a $3,000 pot. If we can hit, not only would we be unstuck, but we would be up piles on the session. River comes out, and it's the 5 of diamonds, and we lose our entire stack to Nick 6 yet again.
In for 3,000, out for 800. Tough night.
Unfortunately, disappointing from the intro. I didn't finish off the sun run well. I just couldn't get anything going. I still did well. In for 1,500, out for 3,100. Pretty good.
Damn, monster night. Good stuff.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy. We'll catch you guys next week's video.
Peace.